4, 3, 2, 1, loose! There we go, her rifle shot just ascended on its way. Now, this is a bit of a homemade weapon. The man who invented it, one Claude Pemberton Leach, decided that because the Germans were doing something similar, we needed to answer back. He also didn't want to take up space or production capacity in big factories that were already turning out munitions and aircraft and tanks and things like that. He wanted something that a cottage industry, any hobbyist in their back garden shed could produce, so that vital wartime production wasn't diverted. And this is what he came up with. The Leach, sometimes known as the Leach Gamage trench catapult. It had a very short range, but then of course it's designed to lob projectiles, as you've just seen, from an Allied trench into a German trench, basically across the distance of no man's land. Sometimes on the Western Front, enemy trenches from ours might be as close as 50 yards, so actually just over the range of an arm throwing a hand grenade, just a little bit more range. That is what we have here. We call it a catapult. In a way, it's almost a combination sling and crossbow. You can hear the cranking there of the ratchet at the handle, pulls back the slingshots, and all the power is in the India rubber bands that are now under tension. And when the handle is released, the tension will go in the India rubber bands, and all of that kinetic energy that we've stored in the rubber is transferred to the projectile. Our crew are ready for a second shot, so stand by, loose. Uh-oh. That can happen. If that was a high explosive charge, I think everyone would need to duck. But notice that it's at a 45-degree angle. Our soldiers would actually be in the protective cover of a trench, and the front of that trench catapult will be leaning against the lip, the parapet of the trench. This gives this weapon some advantages. The crew can operate it in the cover of their front line trench. The enemy can't see them. It's also relatively silent. At night you wouldn't give away your position with a loud bang. There certainly wouldn't be a muzzle flash, so again, nothing for the enemy to see. The first thing they would probably know, apart from maybe a bit of clicking from the ratchet, is the boom of the projectile going off. So it's not a great range. 200 yards is the absolute maximum for this. What kind of projectiles are they throwing? Well, experiments were made with hand grenades, but there you take your life into your hands. If you pull the pin of a hand grenade, place it on that and it doesn't work, the grenade is going to go off and destroy the weapon. So more usually they have specially made hand grenades made. Spherical bombs like number 15 ball grenade, looking a bit like a Tom and Jerry bomb, they would be used. And what you've seen thus far are homemade jam tin bombs. If you've seen the Feeding Tommy ration display up in our field kitchen, you'll have seen those tins of jam. Once you've eaten the jam, you're left with a cylindrical tin. Pack it with some gun cotton or explosive, chuck in some nuts and bolts or expended rifle cartridges, and you can make a homemade bomb with a fuse. Light the fuse, launch it, boom, at the other end in the Jerry trench. Now yesterday it was superbly consistent. All 4 projectiles landed in exactly the same spot. So hopefully that was just a one-off failure. Now, as I say, 3,000 of these were deployed. Most of them made by Gamage's department store in London. The Royal Engineers did make a few as well, particularly in the Gallipoli campaign in Turkey. And we're ready to try a third shot. Let's see if this one will work. The handle is tensioning the India rubber bands. There are markings on the back of the base, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So you can always you can work out the range of the projectile by how far you tense those rubber bands. Here we go. Let's see. Gentlemen, loose. It's a good one. And boom in the German trench at the other end.